This is a best of 5. I'm so excited, guys. It's the grand finals, this week's EPT. And in the top left in the red, it is Dario. Liquid TLO.
Oh, I guess we're doing that guy first. In the bottom right here, this is Team Liquid's uThermal.
uThermal, bruh?
uThermal, bro? I love the easy for Netherlands clan tag. And also that his name is Thermostat.
I'm counting as a true trendsetter, I think.
Yeah.
You know, what is it?
His
Korea is easy or whatever it was.
Yeah, his name is his clan tag is KR is easy. And his name is all caps North America on Korea. That is the account. From what I understand from the replays that get sent in, he only plays Supernova. I think that's the only him and Supernova play games against each other, and that's his entire Korean ladder experience, from what I understand.
Oh my god, Supernova is a massive memer with his styles as well, so that's a good matchup. I do like the can. I feel like he's honestly a special person who's risen up in the StarCraft streaming scene. Over the last few years. And I look at him and I say, this is a guy who watched Team America and said, I'm going to do that, but as a StarCraft streamer. And it's actually one of the best things ever. So shout out to the can for bringing Team America to the StarCraft scene.
Hell yeah. America. TLO will be representing NA tonight. I mean, even when he wasn't living in North America, he was always NA at heart.
Yeah, I mean, Dario was always the guy who was, do that. I still remember vividly, other pro gamers making fun of him many, many years ago. Like, when he was often hitting the top 8 of tournaments and stuff, and they'd laugh about how, Dario would be the guy who would set up all 4 Zerglings in a perfect concave on top of the ramp to try to, kill the SCV as it walks up it or something. Whenever any other pro would watch him play, the number of tiny, weird details that he would do that no one else would ever think to do or even think is worthwhile, that's 90% of Dario's game. Is it's just all these tiny little value things that stack up over the course of the game, and they're all different things to what other people think is important as well. It's super cool to see.
Yeah, he's got a big brain and he's not afraid to use it to get some big victories.
Yep. I am very smart. I am very good at StarCraft. There's a red hit point drone there and a red hit point. Oh!
That Reaper. He's paying that Reaper tax. He's got himself a couple kills here.
Yeah, Reaper and Micro are really good here. Now, the third drone, I like the way he kind of hid that way off to the right. So even if an SCV came, he'd think there's no drone there. And he'd be like, oh, there's nothing to block. And then the drone just comes in a bit later, does put the hatch down. uThermal scouts that now, of course, and goes, oh, okay, fair enough. Wasn't actually planning to do anything about blocking a third base in this series anyway. It's kind of funny the differences we see there. Maru versus Rogue. Maru being like, I'm not going to let you take that third. I will eBay block it. I'll leave an SCV here. Wah! Whereas, Inno could come over with an SCV and a Reaper. He'd see the drone going there, and he'd be like, take it. This is not worth the battle. You Zergs are obsessed with your third base. I'm just going to have a smooth macro opening and play it that way. So it's kind of interesting to see how the players opt for that, and all the little weird metas with, do the Zerglings fight the Reaper and go over there and try to clear the eBay? Do they run across the map? There's just a weird early game dance going on in this matchup, which I'm really enjoying at the moment.
Also, some of the Terrans, especially special and stuff like that, will try and NG Bay block the third base. It's a very Korean Terran thing.
Oh yeah, it's a nice move. I like it when things kind of escalate like that. There's this thing where in isolation, is building an engineering bay at your opponent's third base every game a good idea? No, but if your opponent's fighting hard to get that third down real early, it's like blocking it with an SCV is worth it. And then if they escalate by bringing a queen over there and running lings over and extractor tricking the drone in and out, suddenly you're like, actually, this guy wants this so badly. You know what? Now it's worth it to put an eBay over here. And you see this arms race of blocking the third or fighting to get the third up. And at some point, it always just goes the other way, where one side is like, this isn't even worth it. I don't care. I'll take my third after ling speed's done. Or the Terran just stops trying to block it because they're spending so much money on it. But there's all these constant mini adjustments going on in the pro meta. Always fascinating to watch. Now, Dario's Overlord positioning, I got to be a bit critical of. They're not very far out, so he's not catching where these Hellions are until they're running up the ramps, which is making it hard for him to position his queens in the correct areas.
Positioning in the correct areas. This Banshee showing up in that natural.
Oh, the drone's blocking the spore. Oh, man, that hurt.
Yeah, a little bit annoying there for Dario. Loses a few drones. Banshee gets out of there with his hands bloody with drones as well. And he drops those extra gases. Looks like, once again, a Ling Bane Muta game from Dario.
Yeah, definitely looking like that build. Once again, you know, a relatively quick lair and Bane nest once the Bane speed up. He's got his double Evo, but I'm actually kind of thinking he might start Bane speed before the double upgrades. Like, things are not timed out perfectly this game for TLO. Of course, the Banshee getting a little bit more damage done than he would like. Another 3 workers going down, and it continues to just dance around the edges of the map. Now, the other Banshee's coming in on the natural as well. It's cloaked so far ahead of time that it's running out of energy as it arrives at the base.
Yeah. But it's not really getting punished for it. I mean, he's in detection range anyways, so the energy and cloak doesn't even matter at this point. It just gets a few more drones, putting the total up to 9, and it gets out of there. That last Banshee does get picked off to the north side. And this Overlord from Dario has also been muscled off of that Pervert Pillar. And it's going to get picked off as well in a second here, which will block TLO for a second.
Stop watching my SCVs. Get out of here. Marine does chase him off, gun him down, and a quick third base landed uninterrupted. Remember, these Hellions have survived. And what are you always worried about if the Terran keeps all those Hellions alive? It's, hey, I've got 6 Hellbats that are going to join my stim push. And do we have a second tank? It'll be 1 tank.
There will be an armory in a second here for uThermal. It's about time to drop it.
Looks like he might just leave the Hellions in Hellion form. For now, he's very worried about a run-by. The tank stays at home, just a double drop. So uThermal here, I think, is more worried. He's not so worried about slowing Dario down. He's more worried about Dario running in and just doing massive damage. And this is it. It's kind of cool to see. A lot of players seem to be respecting Dario in sort of like a, you know, almost like he's Bly, where they're worried about the crazy attacks that he might throw out.
Well, Dario seems to be positioned here for this. He doesn't have a whole lot of creep to work with, and uThermal's fire control has always been one of the best in the world. He's going to send those Marines to the right side, still just shepherding against those Lings.
Where are the Queens? They're taking forever to get over here. They were just chilling at the third base for a while, and that's allowed uThermal to take a very nice little trade. Just a couple Marines going to go down. 4 Marines for a lot of Zerglings. But once again, 5th base does go down here for Dario. Muta's on the way. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see the exact same style we saw in that game against Special.
I mean, you go into Mutas, you mean, and then switching into Hydras after forcing out Mines and Thors?
Yeah, I think it might just be his go-to. And like you can see once again, because it's faster tech than normal, no macro hatch. He's just got a quick 5th up. So he can always give up one side and move to the other. But this time around, because he expanded to that north, uThermal's moving in with a big push. Lings are going to find big damage on the third, but a quick SCV pull is going to mitigate that. And now uThermal coming forward, 2 tanks, lots of Marines, 6 Hellbats.
There are no units at home here for Dario, by the way, because those Lings are across the other side of the map. He does not have that many bases. Oh, loses a couple of Mutas right there to the Marines as well. Making a bad situation worse. That third base being evacuated. uThermal's going to pick that off.
Yeah, uThermal barely holds his base at home, loses a few depots, loses 15 SCVs, but he takes out the third and isolates the fourth. Now, this is not the end of the world necessarily, since TLO's done so many workers. He's just got to pull back, I think, and wait. I think TLO needs to give up this northern base and just fall back to 3 bases here. Take a 4th on this third after you clear him out, but just focus on efficient fights. And he's actually going across the map once more here. uThermal does not have a lot of units at home. It's just a small pack of Marines. Lings and Muta's going to come in. They're not perfectly synced up, but he's on top of him.
He certainly is. The Marines reinforcing from that natural. A couple of Marines taking a little bit while to get into this battle. It looks like the third base is still left a little exposed. Muta's going to swing into the main base here where there really isn't a whole lot of anti-air. Yeah, no turrets.
Ooh, good focus fire. That Muta on red hit points is so low. uThermal wants to click on it so badly.
And he's not getting it. That thing still survives, and it's out of there.
Oh, man. Nice play here. I would love to see those Mutas rotate around and keep up some aggression. 64 drones versus 50 SCVs. It's 3 hatch versus a 3-base Terran. 7th, 8th, 6th, 7th, 8th barracks are up. No add-ons on them. uThermal, he's rebuilding SCVs. I think he's just going to plop down a 4th command center at some point and continue in this game. But I guess it's kind of tempting to just go all in on Marines, right? You've already kind of dented the creep, sniped some hatches. You know TLO's in a weird position. Maybe it's a good idea to just go all in off this.
Oh, uThermal pulling back to that tank here. He's still got a good number of Marines here, and the Banelings Being offensive like this with the banelings way off creep, it's hard to trade well, and TLO loses every baneling on that front line, and so does that counterattack.
Lots of small bad trades for TLO, but remember, this can turn around suddenly. You know, we're seeing scans being used just to figure out where the army is. We're seeing uThermal using a lot of stims. He is now pushing across, but the mutas are going to backstab. The Ling Bane's going to hit the third base. Dario, he's got to evacuate this base. The drone's running out of there, and once again, I mean, he's just going for the production, going for the economy. If he can get on top of those Marines, which he can, it's going to be big. I think uThermal's going to have to counter push to answer this, but there are some banelings starting to slowly, steadily get up here for TLO. He's rallying back into his main base. He's barely trying to survive. This game is absolute chaos.
And this seems to be where TLO likes to thrive, especially the last few TVZs. 36 SCVs have gone down. There is still a 53 drone economy for TLO, but of course, most of those drones have been tucked into that main base because they are under fire from Terran on the outside. This hatchery down here is about to go down as well. TLO about to go down to 2 bases. uThermal's barely mining off of 1. Trying to go for that 1 tank, didn't quite get it. These Marines still need to be respected.
There's not many banelings. There's not many banes at all. Only 7 banelings.
That's spread of Marines.
The mutas sniping the tanks on the right-hand side. The banes come in, the lings come in, the mutas come in. This is it. He's got to break this force. Does TLO, but there's just too many Marines on the right-hand side. 2-2 up against 1-2 upgrades. Woo!
That was a dicey one. Another one of those bum clenches from TLO, and I feel like it's one of those games where TLO forces the game to go that way by always being so counter-attacky, and there's never been a moment. It feels like almost watching it feels mean to say, but I mean this is a compliment, like a slightly less refined Reyna, who I think is one of the best players in the whole world. Like, just always counter-attacking anytime a player moves out. Even though he doesn't really have overlord vision of those areas, he's not looking at walls and seeing the army move out and like that. He just knows. He's like, the Terran's moving out right now. They're rallying across the map. I'm going to counterattack with a whole bunch of, it's not even just Lings, which I feel like is what Reyna would normally do. It's like Ling, Bane, and Muta leaving home to go and attack while being under attack, which is almost always going to turn into a base tradey weird kind of game like that.
Well, this is really all about just saying, okay, this might not be the most solid way to play, but this puts all of the APM strain on the Terran, right? Like, it's so much easier for the Terran if they're trying to micro an attack on the front and defend at the time to run 20 SCVs into 2 banelings, right? Or to accidentally overstim a pack of Marines and get them all killed by mutas, or to run forward on creep with the 40 Marines, get caught by banelings, right? It's one of these situations where TLO's like, try microing Marines in 3 places at once while there's Lings in your mineral lines. Like, let's see you do that well. And uThermal managed to barely pull it off in that game, but I like that, just putting the pressure on your opponent, trying to mess him up. We're going to go into map number 2, of course. It's a best of 5. You're in the game, right?
I am indeed. Yeah.
Thank the Lord.
It's already happened 1 time. Okay. In the bottom right here, currently up in the series, in this grand final for the EPT American Open 9, it is Thermostat, aka uThermal from Team Liquid.
And his opponent up here in the top left-hand side in the red roles, so representing Team Liquid, they're playing coach of the team. He's just stepped down as the manager of the team. He was a playing manager. Now he's a playing coach. It is TLO. Big thank you, Flostos, for the sub in that last game. I also saw people talking about the delay. Hey, wait a second. Some of these players are streaming. And they're not streaming with delay. What the hell? The other player could cheat. Yep. So the cool thing about ESL is they're like, if you want to give your opponent the option for that, you can. That's on you. Any commentary stream, any official commentary stream, it's like, no, you can't stream this without a 2-minute delay, right?
Yeah, because we have every player's vision here. You know?
I mean, technically they could cheat, right? But like, it's just one of those things where it's like, these players are like, look, realistically, they know each other. None of these top guys are going to cheat. They could if they wanted to, but that's like something where if you're actually worried about it as a player, you just don't stream. You're run. It's an easy fix for these pro gamers.
Yeah, it's
their choice to put them at risk. So it's an individual choice for some of these guys.
That's right. So, and that's what it is, right? It's like everyone's like, oh, it's against the rules or it's a tournament integrity. They're putting themselves at risk. It's not risking the tournament or their opponent or giving them any kind of edge. It's actually giving them an opposite. It's giving them a potential to be open to someone actually using that to their advantage. So, it's completely fine for a player to stream without delay.
Yeah, we're pretty chilled with it.
Especially when they're named players like this, like you mentioned. Like, obviously, there's been a couple times in the past where certain best players in the whole world at the time would be a little bit haphazard, but it wasn't them cheating. It was more like they threw, right? You know.
Yeah, they gave away just a map here or there, you know, when people were betting on individual maps.
Yeah.
And
but would still win the series.
Yep. Obviously, still very bad practice and very dodgy.
Yeah, don't do that. No one. And uThermal and TLO are two players that would never in a million years ever do that.
Especially to teammate, man. How funny would
Yeah. Oh
He's
my
like,
god.
Gonna cheat versus my teammate.
Yep.
Oh. This drilly boy wants to get home. I've got a wife and a family. Please leave me alone.
Good song. It's the SCV, the scouting SCV song.
The Zergling respected it, man. It's a humane Zergling there.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, the Reaper's coming down anyway, so it would have protected the Drilly Boy anyway. It's got two Zergling kills. There we go. I got there. Third time's the charm. Got 2 Zergling kills. Make it 3 now with that Reaper.
As long as he's not blinding planetarying the Cloud Fortress, Maynard, it's all good.
Blinding Fortress, the planetary cloud.
You're doing better than me, Maynard.
But that Ling just cycled around the outside and somehow found that hurt Drilly Boy and did pick him off there in that natural. So 1 SCV kill does happen for TLO in the end.
Yeah, and these Hellions now coming in as well. Not the fastest Hellions for uThermal, but that's because he's going for a very quick third command center. And the Reaper's having a bit of a scout around. He's like, hey, buddy, what are you building here? There is actually a very quick Roach Horn down.
And he sees it.
Doesn't have to be aggressive, though. That's not like a wild Roach Horn. Like, if that was finishing now, you'd be like, whoa. So uThermal, he's just going to be aware of the option of Roaches here and the option of a push. And he's going to have to scout a bit more for it with his Viking or his Hellions or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be committed. 2 Overlords queued up, but only 1 gas. So, I mean, you can't really commit to this as TLO, right? Probably just defensive Roach. Maybe fake out a push.
Yeah. I mean, he can be so mind-gamey. He's trying to get another SCV here. The Hellions do a good job shepherding and fight back. 5 Roaches is like a defensive amount. If he goes any higher than that, I start to think that he's going to try and push.
So this is a thing where TLO might gamble. Yeah, he's going straight into drones behind it. So how many queens we got? We got 4 with the 5th on the way. So basically what you want to do here as TLO, you want to push out and start sniping the Hellions and try to scare them home. Because if they think there's a mass Ling behind it and Ravages, they're like, oh god, we got to be here to gun down the Zerglings that are running in with it, right? And if you can get them to do that, that's great. Now the problem is, if uThermal's like, screw you, and drives around the Roaches, there is nothing at home to defend except a couple of queens. So uThermal could do epic drone damage on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this is so weird. This is trying to force out an overcommitment to defense from uThermal, I guess.
It's a great move. He's going to delay the eBayers massively here. He's got his own double Evo on the way. This is just it's a big brain TLO move here, looking at it to trap uThermal. Now the problem is, those Hellions are like, wait a second, this is kind of weird. They're going across the map. And there is 7 Zerglings and a few queens to defend. So, Dario, I hope your drone splits are looking good, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Anyone wants some barbecue?
Uh-oh. He's good so far. I was kind of
nice.
Evo block as well. I mean, I was kind of joking there, but, you know, that's a good hold. That's a good D. And, I mean, the
Germans... we always knew that Dario had good D.
Yeah, dude. I studied my history. I studied World War I. Some of the best D the Germans had, man.
Right. That's why they were superpower. We got a third base for uThermal. Obviously went that third really, really quickly, but just now being floated out to position to be able to be mined from. It's been oversaturated in that natural for a hot minute. It's got 1-1 upgrades on that bio, and TLO seems to be committing to Ravager Ling Bane, I think, or just Ravager and Roach at the moment. Which is one of those unicomps that's great for a while, but unless you're like up 50 or so army supply, it's hard to take a good trade against Biotank, which is what uThermal's going for.
Well, the thing is, this third is wide open, right? So whilst tanks can cover it from the high ground, it's all about, there's a moment here, we saw this in Rogue vs. Mario, we were talking about the same situation earlier, where if the tanks come out and siege on the low ground at this third, and you start building depots and stuff down here, and then this big Roach attack comes in, and they just kill the tanks, and then all your depots, you're often just dead from there, right? But if you keep your defense on the high ground and mostly centered around the natural, you lift that command center, you pull SCVs. When they commit to the big Roach Ravager attack, you also, of course, want to pull SCVs to tank. Anything that keeps your bio alive for even a few seconds longer, you got a much higher damage output than the Roach Ravager army. It's just about keeping that damage output up because they've got so much Roach Ravager. So you've got to just be willing to trade SCVs, and you've got to basically treat every tank as if it is the, like, this is a Terran religion against roaches. You know, it's like some people worship cows or pigs or whatever else. It's the sacred tank of the anti-roach. Like, you worship them, bring an offering, put some fruit, light a candle in front of these tanks. Do not put them out in the roach rain. Do not put them in the corrosive bile rain. Keep them alive, and if you get that tank count high enough, you get enough bio, you will win this game.
Correct. Speaking of which, we got TLO sending one of those Roach Ravager counterattacks that we were talking about there to the south, which uThermal sees these Hellions. They were being sent for some drone damage, and now he knows he's under attack. We've only got one tank down here at that third base, and a bunch of supply depots that are about to go down, which will heavily supply back uThermal if he loses them all. And he's got the counter drop, but it's coming back home.
Yeah, this is the same situation with the depots on the low ground. You feel like you've got to defend this base, but you've actually got to pull back right now as uThermal. This third tank on the high ground is not close enough. This tank is too far forward. It's going to be biled way too easily. And right now, there's a long period where it's 1-1 versus 2-2. Sniper squad runs in, but it is going to get punished. 3 Ravagers go down. I think it's still not the worst trade for TLO. But where's his Roach Rally? I mean, it's not that much Roach Ravager just yet. And I really want to see him pull back and swing around from the north side of the natural. If he can come from above the E-bays at the same time as coming in through the site blockers and from the left,
I think
it's impossible to guard the tanks. You can't guard, but he can't all come from one side, though. He's got to come from 2 sides at once. If he stays in a clump, those tank shots are going to be too effective.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I really like the idea of splitting up, especially if you had a bunch of lings with this as well. That the bio is just shepherding. It's getting in between the Roaches and the Ravagers and his tank line. Bile's coming down that front line, denying one of these +2 attack or armor upgrades would be really fantastic, but it looks like he's just being very, very careful here.
Look at that Viking. The spotting Viking, though, sees the rotation. Is he going to be able to defend this sandwich? TLO had a really unfortunate supply block, so some of his Roaches and Ravagers aren't quite here yet. The bio is just going to run in there.
Tanks exposed on the right side. They're getting some big volleys off. The bio was absolutely clearing the floor with Roach Ravager on the left side. And I think once he's done over there, uThermal can come over and clean up the Ravagers in the natural as well. TLO did not do what he wanted.
Oh, that red hit point tank with 8 kills holds. And it is enough. I mean, I really think Dario unfortunately messed up his macro a little bit there. He went for a fast 4th, and he had a supply block at about 176 supply. If he had another 10, 12 Roaches there, if you win that fight and have just enough to kind of get rid of mining on the third, it's a drastically different scenario, because then you often survive with like 5, 6 Ravagers, and those Ravagers are so valuable. Now replacing them is so hard, and you find yourself like, yeah, you're going 2-2. Yeah, you've got a longer game. But what I really liked about the way Rogue did this versus Maru was Rogue was like, I'll take the latest 4th base of all time. I'll never drone it. I won't even start 2-2 until after my first all-in. Like, it was so committed, and that was able to take advantage here. Dario was just barely short on the numbers to make that work.
Yeah, I mean, Maru in his series against Rogue would even stop at like 40 or 50 SCVs. Just wouldn't go any higher than that.
Yeah.
Like, yep, I'm just going to make units, like tons and tons of units for quite a while, and cut workers very deliberately. And
that's the way to go, man. Just
cool to see the meta shift.
Now you've got drops everywhere as uThermal. Just keep those tanks in a safe position. No need to go out as uThermal. I really think as uThermal sit back for a while longer in this game, just use drops.
That third left wide open right here for TLO for a counterattack. He's got a drop in the main base, obviously, picking off the Queen. On top of
uThermal's still got the better army right now, but the Roaches and Ravagers might just find an opening here. That third base is revealed as a weak spot. These Marines in the main doing an insane amount of damage, by the way. The Roaches and Ravagers all trying to pull back on this army now. He's not sieged up. He's deep on creep. uThermal, he's going to try to save some of these tanks, but like it's a bit of an awkward fight right now.
Yeah, that's a lot of Roach Ravager. The Bio stimming on forward, trying to get on top of those Roaches. He's actually losing the Marines on the right side. The Roaches seem to be high enough and counter to fight it back. Meanwhile, at that third base, uThermal dropped 8 Marines on top of it and killed 10+ drones. The main base was also a good bit of damage, and he also held on to that third orbital back at home while the counterattack looked deadly. He is still okay as far as workers go. He only really lost a couple.
But the Sacred Church of the tank has taken a big hit there. Only 2 tanks stand. And I mean, that's a problem right now. The morale of these zealous Terran units will go down the lower the tank count is. And you know what? Anytime they've got to fight without the tanks, you can see these corrosive biles as a beautiful zoning unit. Pull back, TLO. TLO's got to get out of there. He's got to pull back. He stayed too deep there with that army on the south. He needed to withdraw. I think that Marine stim-in does get the Ravagers. Is it enough? Actually, no. He's still got the numbers. Those biles landing. And TLO manages to do it.
Man.
That was
all right.
Great games. And I'm going to be Mr. Critical and say there's no reason for uThermal to move out there. And that
With
reminded
the part
me.
that attacked into the third base, you mean? Like that tank bio dart, just rely on drops, you reckon?
TLO's all in. I know you see 4 or 5 bases, you think this is scary as a Terran player. It's not. You've killed all of his tech. He's got no follow-up to it. There's no good follow-up to that. It's minutes until he can do anything. I really think uThermal needed to wait till he was maxed. He was doing so much with his drops, and you've just got to get a second factory, get more bio, get more tanks. But anytime you end up with that awkward fight where the tanks aren't sieged and they're kind of exposed, we see that army becomes so much weaker. So, I mean, I've seen this a lot recently in Maru's games where he's like grabbing his whole army and stimming into Roach Ravager, where it's like, no, you just need to survive for 2 minutes. You can do that when you're maxed out, but if you're not maxed out, there is no reason. Wait until you're maxed out and you have an upgrade advantage, and then you can stim into it. You don't even need to siege your tanks. But at that moment of the game, it was a bad moment for uThermal to move out. Didn't respect the Roach Ravager. I think he was a little bit too worried about, maybe there's a hive behind this, right? Maybe Broodlords come out, maybe Baneling swap happens. Didn't want to give him time for that, but he didn't have the map control to actually confirm his position in that game. He didn't have enough spotter units out there, and TLO punished him for it.
He certainly did. That Church of Tank, man. That church got defiled several times there by the TLO, and that's zero respect for uThermal's beliefs.
Yeah, man.
He's deity, the Tech Lab factory units.
Big thank you for Lositos with the 3-month resub, as well as Dr. Foxhound with the cheer. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate you going above and beyond. This might actually be the best finals we've had in a while. I have a feeling it's going to be a good, action-packed, crazy one. It's tied up 1-1. Next map is Ephemeron. Hails yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why, I'm with you on the fact that this finals has already been good just from 2 games so far. It's because of the way that these guys like to play, right? Like, uThermal likes to be that aggressive bio in-your-face Terran, and TLO's that wild, base tradey, always, whatever he does, it's aggressive. Whatever he's going to do, it's weird. He's going to force his opponent to react. It's so cool to see this very, very entertaining clash of styles between 2 teammates, 2 veterans, 2 pillars of the scene. Anyway, let's introduce one of them on the bottom right here. Trying to make it easy for the Netherlands. It is Thermostad, aka uThermal.
You know, it's a good country to be from. If you're playing TVZ, it's a lot about walling out the rising tide of Zerg, and they've already done that with building flood walls and stuff in their lowlands country. Let's see if they can hold back the waves of Roach, Ravager, Ling, Bane, Mutas, Hydras, Lurkers. We've seen pretty much every unit in the game so far from this guy. It's TLO.
Yeah, we just haven't seen any Ultralisks yet. Ultra's a bad unit, Pig?
I think they are, man. Space cows.
I haven't seen any Broodlords either.
Well, to be fair, he's going more range unit focused, and I think this is just TLO respecting the fact that right now the world is in danger of undergoing an epidemic due to coronavirus. It is a serious topic, and TLO is saying, you know what, range units only. Let's stop shaking hands with these shitty melee units. These Ultralisks always trying to kiss everyone. No, mate, stop the spread.
That's right. At IM Katowice, we had to bump elbows instead of shake hands.
Yeah.
Hugs were a no-no, so...
He's been doing that for a little while because he got sick of getting diseased at every event. But
true.
It's even more up to date and important now, I think.
Yeah. Even the fist bump is actually too biologically unsafe for Dario.
Yeah, Dario doesn't take risks by making human contact with plebs such as you, Maynard.
By the way, we have to talk about the fact that Dario instantly took his natural over at the third base location.
Yeah, this is a big brain move. Let's see how uThermal reacts to this. Does he shit the bed?
That's the big question here.
He's searching for a proxy hatch with the Reaper.
I'm a bad player.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would just panic and like cancel my command center or some shit. But he sees it's like a normal gas pool timing, so he's looking for the proxy hatch. He's like, oh, it could be proxy hatch Ravager. Let's like check.
You thought he was so smart.
He sees nothing nearby, and he's like, oh, okay, you're trying to trick me out. But the thing is, this is where I go, oh, it's a fake out, and then I do my normal build and stop scouting.
But it's actually early roaches.
Yeah. Like he's faking like it was early proxy roaches, but it's not. Come on, like it's just a normal build. And he is committing to the bunker. I mean, Dario might actually be happy to face this. Is he not built? Where's his queen? She ain't gonna come down. She's like, no, I'm not part of this party. Oh, Dario's like, I need this hatchery, man. Oh, please, let me get this hatchery. Oh, I want it so bad.
Please, I'm definitely not making roaches right now.
Oh, my queen's gonna come down and fight this as well now.
Oh, no.
And these roaches are just like, rally. Look, the queen. She's like, stay away. Oh, he comes in, sees the Roach Warren.
It's the Roach Warren.
High ground or low ground? Okay, high ground. Smart boy. I actually think he... I was going to say, I think he could defend from the low ground. No, that would have been a terrible call. That's how I lose ladder points to people 500 MMR below me. Like, oh, two Marines in a bunker can hold anything on the low ground, right?
Yeah. The good news about being where I am on the ladder is that losing a game to someone 500 MMR below me just doesn't happen. But it's like one of those things when you get high level, there's so many players that are like they're 500 MMR lower, but they still have really decent skill.
They got a tight little aggressive build order.
They
Yeah,
got a great timing attack or something like that, and you're just like, oh shit, and then you fall over.
uThermal, by the way, does like to welcome house intruders. Every morning when he wakes up, no cancel on the bunker, actually. He does leave the door wedged open. He goes and puts his garbage bin in the door, wedges it open, and leaves a sign that says valuables inside. That's what this depot is. He'd like to let some of the Zerg in before raising the door, and then, just kicking them into his dungeon and making them rub the lotion into their skin.
That's right. Then he Kevin McCormick's blow torches the top of their head and swings a full paint can into their face, breaking their skull.
He's like, guys, don't you want to come in here? Look, it's a cyclone. It's just a cyclone. This isn't scary.
Christmas. Come on. My family's gone to Paris. I'm home alone. Really gets that roach, but not quite.
Barely survives. And behind this, Gas's Lair Evo. Evo interests me. I was thinking we might see something desperate like a muta swap from here. But Evo tells me it's going to be Carapace and potentially just a big Roach Ravager attack. But it could even just be wave 2 of Ravager Ling. We'll kind of see how it goes. Carapace starts up. Lots of Overlords on the way. Of course, he's supply blocked. So that doesn't necessarily mean he's being aggressive. And he is kind of going for the third. So it's a macro transition, but a great start here for the thermostat.
I like the Liberator a lot, actually. This is Liberator nice and early like this when your Zerg's just trying to worry about, getting their build sorted out and everything. They don't have that many queens because of how the start of the game went. Throw that in the main base. This is going to be very annoying for Dario.
Drone's pulling back here. Liberator just dancing. I can dance all day. I can dance all day.
Oh, the queen. Oh,
she's got to go around the other side, mate. She's got to go around the other side. You can't. Oh, she can reach from there. Queens.
Wow.
Literal tempests. Seriously.
I think the queen next to it needs an extra range point, Pig. What do you think?
I think she does, honestly. She's so lonely there. The 8 range.
Can you imagine? She should also be able to hallucinate out an eyeball so she can see high ground.
Can you imagine if we brought a queen to a darts tournament?
The queen would.
She can hit moving.
There'd be a lot of people screaming 180. There'd be a lot of that.
She can literally hit a moving fighter jet at 8 range, which is I'm imagining I don't know, a kilometer, 800 meters or something ridiculous. It's insane.
Do you know what's really insane? The Viking is a literal jet plane, and the Zergling is twice as fast.
That is true, man. It's I'm does the Hellion, does it move as fast as that underground rail pod thing that Elon Musk wants to make to send people across North America at
the
1,000
one, yeah,
like a magnet 1,000 kilometer an hour thing or whatever. Is that the speed the Hellion's going, or is the Viking just really slow? Is it like the what is it called, the JSOP, whatever, the Joint Strike Fighter that they're making at the moment, where they want to make it be a vertical liftoff plane, so they've just compromised
like a Harrier jet.
So they've compromised the design to the point where it's this really average all-round plane that just doesn't do anything that well. Is that what the Vikings we want to make it land so it can shoot its chain guns and do stuff? And they're is this really worth making it slower than a ground vehicle and not as maneuverable and powerful? Shouldn't we just make it like a Terran Corruptor that just fucks air units up? And they're we want it to land. It'll look real cool, man.
Roach Ravager attack here from TLO. A pretty committed one. Not a huge drone count here from TLO. Only 3 hatcheries, so Innie comes in.
No shields.
Killing blow.
No shields, no 1-1 yet. There's a 30-second window here. I'd actually love to see Dario commit into the natural. This is. It can work from this side, but he doesn't realize where the positioning is right now, of course. We get to see everything. Overseer gets snapped. Nice move there by uThermal. He wants to keep these Ravagers away from the tanks. These 2 tanks so exposed right now. Shields and 1-1's about to finish. He just needs another 15, 20 seconds.
I think Dario's going to give it to him as well. Not because he wants to, but because he can't actually convincingly break this location and end this game just yet, as he would lose quite a bit to the bunker and to the siege tanks. There's also 3 tanks here now as well.
Man. I feel like he's got to give it to you. I feel like that Uptown Ravager funk got to give it to you, man. But I think he's missed the window, and I think we're about to see this look a little bit good for uThermal. I mean, he's got such a good position. I mean, people, no doubt, looking at the supply, going, look-a-dee, look-a-dee, look-a-dee. Todd taught me a lot about StarCraft. Yeah, Ravagers are 3 supply each, and they're worth like a 1.2 supply, I would say, in a pitched battle.
Yeah.
Like they're really, they don't carry that weight in terms of damage or hit points or stats.
Yeah. If uThermal's army was just siege tanks and liberators, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But there's a lot of bio here. Oh, he's going to get some vials on those tanks. He actually connects with 2 of them here. The bio getting on top of that range, and if there's a good number of roaches, TLO actually could win the fight, but without roaches, he has to leave.
He's got to pull SCVs into the next battle. If uThermal doesn't pull SCVs, it's a big mistake. He's got to use them to buffer. He's pulling them away from the Roach Ravager right now, but he needs to use them to buffer. Yeah, I like the pullback. Get the SCVs in the fight. Basically, he's got to engage before the bios land, and he's got to get the SCVs in front, tanking the Roach shots.
Some roaches coming in from the north side, and here we go, the big battle. uThermal trying to hold on to that third base and hold on to this game as he stims that bio forward. The bio count's getting really low here.
This is so close. So close. I think he's got it, though. The tanks are not going to go down. Only 12 SCVs full. It was a good SCV pull. I was worried because his Marines were in front of the SCVs for the most part, so he was losing his damage output. It was dropping very quickly. But, I mean, TLO rallying individual roaches in a little bit desperately. This is obviously a rough start for TLO. It was a good attack follow-up, and I really actually think his timing would have won the game. If he went straight to the natural when he first came across the map, we get to see everything, though. He does not. So, you know, unfortunate mistiming attack there for TLO. He made a lot more Ravagers, which really just weren't worth it in the long run.
Yeah, and now that huge army supply advantage that he had is not there anymore. So another collapse into the bio of uThermal would be suicide right now for Dario. There's a medevac to the north side, but it's not only a spotting medevac. It's going to be hard for DLO to do anything about it. He's just going to be like, all right, the roaches and Ravagers suck around this side. This is where I send my bio. Just trying to keep you between my tanks and my bio. Just always going to be between the roaches and Ravagers and the tanks here.
Yeah, this is just good setup from uThermal, and I don't think he's going to make that mistake from the previous game.
Dario's got a drone here, right?
Yeah.
Just try and turn this into a game.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a few things which actually work against uThermal a silly amount, and one of those is like just having a game plan that revolves around forcing him to dive deep on creep and then having an overcommitment to splash damage. So that could be heavy banelings. That's an awkward transition. I would actually like to see 3 or 4 infestors come out. No pathogen glands. Like, he could have already had that infestation pit up and then just hide the infestors and look for fungal when this marine ball runs forward. 1 or 2 good fungals, and this marine ball just, it fragments and it falls apart.
Debated empty overlords over here on the right side with uThermal taking the main fight over at third base. Oh no, Dario is losing so many roaches and Ravagers over here, man. Oh! He's getting massacred. Le Massacre. Le Massacre. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh,
it's horrible.
NSFC, dude. That was disgusting. GG.
I'm sorry, guys. I got to type that in chat. Guys, this is a 2-minute delay. Cover your Zerg children's faces. Do not watch. Do not watch all caps. Don't let them see what just happened. God.
Yeah, Zerg players, please avert your eyes. I'm not going to put that warning in chat, though, because I have no soul. And I'm also a Terran player. So, Zerg players, what's up? God, that was disgusting.
Yeah, uThermal's pretty good at StarCraft.
He's all right.
The fact that there was a timing there for TLO, though, after the start, I was like, oh, that's actually sick. It's just one of those things where it's like, this is where that Korean madness would be rewarded, you know? Like imagine if that is Impact. Do you think Impact waits for more Ravages? Ha! Ha!
Impact waiting?
Ah!
Dario had 16 more drones than Impact would have had in that game.
Yeah. Did you know back in the day when Koreans were trying to move over to Europe to dominate the foreign WCS, Impact actually went, he tried to live in the UK, but after 3 weeks of him constantly pushing in lines and getting the shit beaten out of him by angry British people who love queuing up, he had to move back to Korea where they embrace the cheese. So, you know, Impact would have won that game, I think, from TLO's position 100%. He would have just ran in the natural and been like, oh, cool, one of your tanks at the third isn't in range. I only took 1 shot from the other one. Now I'm kind of in between your army and your SCVs. Oh, sweet. I'm going to kill you now with Roach Ravager. It's crazy the power spikes with that style, right? So I keep talking about Roach Ravager because that's a theme we're seeing in this series. I'm doing it a lot again at the moment because Rogue, I wouldn't say Rogue inspired me. He reminded me that this is a good thing, that if Terrans don't play properly against it, it's a very powerful, I can maybe like sneak a win off you here or there. And what I keep seeing is Terrans playing ridiculously greedy against it and like just not respecting the Roach Ravager. So I'm thinking about this style a lot lately. It's all over the ladder. And I keep thinking these players, you know, you've got to be so wary as the Terran. Right before shields and 1-1 finishes, you're really weak. Right before 2-2 finishes, you're really weak. Anytime there is a tank that is not really far back on high ground where the Zerg can't see it, you're really weak. Like, it's all about like just surviving and weathering the storm, and you've got to hang on and do it. And so far, he's doing a great job of it here. Down here, in the bottom left, in the blue, representing easy for the Netherlands. It's uThermal.
And also Team Liquid, along with this fellow in the top right here, it is the Doctor himself, TLO, the Wunderwunsch.
Yeah, you know, I think it's time he pulls those rubber gloves down, and you know, you hear that.
Spread them.
Spread them, boy.
Some talcum powder up those hands, get the rubber gloves on, start searching for a win deep within uThermal.
You look like you're up to no good.
He's got a good map for it. This is definitely, if you're a Zerg against the Terran, this is a map that you want to play on. Not bad.
Netherlands, definitely Dutch people, some of the most, you know, profiled and persecuted people in the world. I'm sure they're used to that. You know, 7 foot tall, perfect humans who who have a ridiculous proportion of high level StarCraft players for their population.
Yeah, that's actually like you will see Roddy being you know, the same height, if not taller than most of the people out there on the desk at esports events, because Roddy's like 6'1", 6'2".
He's going to be 6'2" or something. Yeah,
6'2",
he's a few inches taller than me.
So he's pretty tall, but he's actually small in the Netherlands. You want to get an idea as to how tall a guy is in the Netherlands? Have a look at Harstem. That's an average height Dutchman.
Yeah,
Roddy's a small Dutchman.
It's actually insane. I often feel like I'm kind of tall. I'm exactly 6 foot, but when I go to like the Netherlands, I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, my neck is not conditioned to look up all the time. Like, this is really,
when I go to
I'm
the
not used to this.
I'm just like, I should be having an axe and a helmet on here. I'm basically Gimli.
Reaper's going to come in. TLO once again says 2 Zerglings is all I want to pay the tax with. He's going to try and hide them behind the mineral line, of course. We'll need to see a few of those, bit of micro. 1 Zergling goes down. Second one says, take me, take me.
Reaper will take him, no problem.
Yeah, he's like, all right, buddy. Ooh,
I like where TLO's
no,
taking the third.
naughty. Oh, okay.
There's been a lot more popular lately for the Zerg to knock down those rocks early and take that third location. Same deal for the Terrans, actually, to expand in like a triangle pattern, because it's like those other third base locations feel so much more exposed.
Yeah, it's like you can get a really nice tank position like across from it on the ledge, but it's so far from the hatch that like, yeah, you can slowly elevate Marines and be annoying.
Right.
You can't really force your way up the ramp though, can you? You know, you can set up a position outside the third and be like, I'm here, come and fight me. But the Zerg's very chill with that. So I really like it. I've noticed Protoss players playing like Phoenix Colossus on this map take this third as well in PvT. And you're like, oh, that's like, this triangle is just impossible to break. So you've really got to wait for them to take a fourth before you can get any big ground attacks going. I think it's a really nice way to play the map. And he's been loving the Banshees. The Banshees back in a big way. I'm still very critical of this unit and how good it is in this matchup. I think it is one of the safest yet most lacking in pointed, sharp pressure openings that a Terran can do. So
yeah, I pretty much only ever make the Banshee if I'm being roach rushed.
That's it. And that's why everyone opens Banshee versus Bly. And I'm guessing versus TLO as well, since he's showing that tendency. It's like, hey, I'm just going to be safe, you know?
Well, there's a Roach Warren coming down for TLO, but not like an extremely early one. It could, of course, turn into a pressure, and he has been showing small groups of Roaches being used at specific timing attacks, like a Simulacrum he did it against uThermal.
Yeah.
But
do you think the 5 Roach build again? I mean, he's got a second gas this time.
Oh, he's making a lot of lings at the moment with the Roach Warren, so I think that it might be more aggressive.
Third CC's down in the wall. Third depot's there. uThermal, raise that depot. Yeah, look at that. I love how every Terran is like so methodical about always having Hellions at home and then always having their wall up when the Hellions are on the map. And only now is uThermal going to start poking and prodding. Quite a few Roaches, a few more drones come in as well as spores. So did TLO see the starport? Did you see? Oh, the Banshee flew past his Overlord and he switched plans. Okay. So because the Banshee went past, right. Okay, I like this adjustment from TLO. It says, let's just drone up. Banshees are too good on this such a long map. Okay.
Fair enough. And we have a bio follow-up here for uThermal. How do you feel about Bio on this map and TVZ versus playing Mech on this map?
Yeah, well,
These are roaches in the
I
middle,
think
by the
it's up to everybody. Like, I actually support euthanasia, Maynard, so I think it's
Yeah.
people's own choice, personally.
That's right. Yeah. You'd rather they live a full small life than a long,
Yeah, I think
half
it's
empty life.
I think it's up to you, honestly. I mean, inappropriate jokes aside, it really is. It's madness. Like, if you're playing Serral, I'm like, oh, you don't want to win this game. Cool. I guess against TLO, there's a chance you can out multitask him, right? It's still a good map for drops and really mechanical Terran. But I mean, a frontal push across this map, ha! It's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. You're never going to find your mark. It takes so long to get down there. It's insane.
Throwing a toothpick into a volcano.
Yeah.
Park your bicycle in an airplane hangar. Looks like Ling Bane meter again from Dario. Actually, could potentially just be that mass Ling Bane style, but he seems to really like Ling Bane meter, so that's sort of what I'm predicting here.
Third CC up on the north. I like that. So more of a macro one up there. 6th and 7th barracks go down, but no number 8 barracks. Oh my god, such diversity we see in Terran build orders here in TVZ. Did he just forget it and he's going to build it in a moment? I don't know.
So could be second factory maybe, but yeah.
Everybody loves this 8 barrack style. I think it's a good style, but I really love a mutiling Bane player who just gives up expansions like we were talking about earlier. And on this map, I mean, that means just like top, middle, and down to the right. Expand in both directions at the same time. Always be willing to give up on one side. And even if there's a push that's doing well and seems scary, the policy is like, just don't fight it and keep spreading creep on the other side of the map while you just slow the push down. And then wait for them to overextend. And just keep re-expanding. And I feel like the Terran, if they don't have a smooth transition into Liberators, which I feel like most Terrans are lacking at the moment, they're like so hell-bent on doing damage with the bio tank. I feel like they just kind of, they end up taking an overextension, a bad fight, and you can roll them. But, I mean, keep in mind, uThermal is just so good with his Marine micro. And, I mean, I've played uThermal before. I've seen TLO. I've seen several play games versus uThermal. I've seen Raynor play games versus uThermal. They're like, you're like, oh, he's got this fight. And you see 43 Banelings gunned down by the Marines before they connect. And you're like, that's not meant to happen. And he just steamrolls a Zerg army. High risk, high reward. Always focused on the Marine count, the Marine focus fire, and sick upgrades. uThermal always has a chance of winning a game, even when the fight looks nasty.
Yeah, I think uThermal, as far as like the foreign Terrans go, uThermal and especially Time are like people that I think about when I think about like Bio just splitting like Van Damme and not taking any damage. Baneling's rolling on in here, the Bio pulling up off that creep, and just again, uThermal taking 0 damage on those Marines. The tank's still alive as well. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that was not good there. I mean, this is one of those awkward scenarios where you've invested in Roaches, you've invested in Banes and Bane speed, but there just wasn't a lot of Zerglings and raw damage there. So TLO is going to come forward. Queen's doing some great tanking. It's always so good. Against these sort of pushes, if you can engage with a few Queens and take the first few tank shots from one side while the rest comes in from the other side, it just totally changes the fight and a good final cleanup.
I'm worried for TLO here, man. We've got 2-2 on the way here for the Terran. 2-2 just barely started for the Lings and the Banes. And he's going for a Hydra Den. So he's doing that thing where he switches out of mutas into Hydras.
Yeah.
uThermal, though, he's still getting +1 attack, which means he's going to commit to making more tanks.
Okay, up to 8 barracks, 3 of which don't have add-ons right now.
Okay. Muta's about to pop in that main base.
Yeah,
tank
uThermal always does this against Protoss. He doesn't add add-ons when he's doing 2 base all-ins to his extra barracks. Seems like he wants to do it here against Zerg, where, I mean, we haven't seen a 4th CC yet. uThermal absolutely wants to take TLO to Pound Town. And, I mean, it's just going to be a big rally across the map. This drop in the middle is so important. He's got to put a dent in this creep spread. Because, like I said, how do you counter this as Dario? Well, you just kind of chill. Just re-expand. Let him come to you. Yeah, let him come real deep. Wait for your upgrades to catch up. And right now, it's like, hey, 2-2's about to finish, but he hasn't started pushing across the map. So, I mean, where's that 4th command center? Where's the add-on on the barracks? It's just not happening. This is an all-in from uThermal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's cut SCVs. He's not getting a 4th base. He's going to probably get 3-3 upgrades, but it is just going to be all about rallying so much more bio than the Zerg can handle here.
Okay, so there's too much in the production tab for TLO, though. Like, this is too many things that aren't going to stop this push. What the hell? Is he looking to make a rainbow? I'm all for pride as well, TLO. It's not important right now. You got to make fighting units. Mass Banelings are needed.
Yeah, completely with you there. Bio stimming back, trying to shepherd away those Mutalisks. Meanwhile, a lot of armies flying that front door.
Oh! The Baneling flank is huge.
Oh my god, Banelings from the south side didn't even see those. They actually get on top of that bio. A lot of the Marines still survive.
He's got to pull back.
On the backside as well. This is a messy fight for both sides.
I think he's got to pull back. I think this is an overextend from TLO there. Okay, he does end up pulling back. It pays a few more Hydras than he necessarily needed to. A few Queens as well. He's going to make respreading creep a little bit rougher. He's making Roach, Hydra, Ling, Bane. This is a weird composition, but I mean, he just needs things to hang on. And those Roaches are going to tank really well versus these Marines, especially now that the upgrades are tied up on the armor. Melee's about to kick in as well. This is a desperate push here from uThermal.
It certainly is. The Banelings are going to be made as a big concave of Zerg units.
Oh my god. This is insane.
Oh, the Banelings have finished and in come right for the bio there. The medevac's getting nuzzled back to that high ground off creep. Okay, TLO is going to hold here. They didn't pick up any hatcheries, didn't pick up any drones. TLO is still in a good spot economically. He can go up in a hive, tier 3, even squeezing out a few more drones. uThermal is making a fourth base. He's forced to do it. He's got to turn this into a video game.
Yeah, this is actually insane right now. I think TLO is way ahead going into this one. But, you know, he's going Infesta, Hydra, Bane, Hive. And if there's one thing TLO can do ahead when he's ahead, we saw it on Nightshade against Special, is get overcomplicated. I'm burrowing Banelings, I'm going Infestas, I'm going Hydras, I'm going Banes, I'm going Hive, I'm going for Linger Unbuys. This is like a dude juggling 13 balls, and he's like, you know what? I need to add a 14th ball to juggle right now. Like, rather than just making sure he hits this perfectly, TLO is going to continue what makes him a successful player. It makes me nervous to watch, but this is his comfort zone doing crazy stuff in as many directions at once as possible and overwhelming his opponent. He senses he's got an advantage. He's got a gigantic army right now and a lot of Banelings. He's looking for a push.
Where's that push going to go, though? So he wanted to attack into this third base up here on the high ground, but looks like he may just want to try and deny the fourth base for as long as possible.
Double drop on both sides, though. Double drop on both sides. So I'm denying the base looks good, but he's got nothing at home. uThermal with a bit of miscontrol there on his drop. He's going to start to unload, but okay, TLO is going to be quick to respond.
Yeah, north side's getting dealt with. The south side, though, dropping one medevac on this hatchery, and the other one's going to the natural. So there's actually 3 drops and 3 locations here doing damage, with this one over in the north side being dealt with first.
And it actually traded out so well. The 5th base on the bottom does not get cancelled. 8 drones go down. uThermal. Just give him medevacs. Just let him drop 5 bases at once, and he is so good at that. But you know what? In the end, the Marines get cleaned up, and like cost for cost, it's not too bad for TLO. uThermal's going to find a few more drones. Just, you know, really buying him some time, some momentum. But what do we got? We've got Viper, Hydra, Bane. For all intensive purposes, TLO has simplified his composition. He's going Viper, Hydra, Bane, and he's going into Great Aspire now for the Corrupted Broodlord. I am so excited because I think we might see a Game 5 in the EPT Finals for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I actually like the Broodlords a lot because you think about the composition here from uThermal, it's Marine Tank. Marine Tank just doesn't do well against Broodlords unless there's only a small amount and there's nothing underneath them. But there's always something underneath them, Pig, and it's usually Ling Bane.
Someone's getting very excited. Their PC, I think, was lagging a bit there. We had a few spikes, but...
Yeah, I've had a few in the last couple games. I think it's one of the casters, maybe, because I haven't had any lag in any of the other games.
Hydras are going to start to focus down that drop. Doesn't really find much. We've got a few Marines on the left-hand side standing in between a sea of burrowed Banelings. Oh! Yeah. If there's one area you don't want to go, it's this area where TLO's army's hanging out. This is...
It's a minefield. It's a DMZ right there. You don't walk through that.
Dude, if uThermal wins this game, he is going to... All of his prisoner of war drones and Zerglings, he is going to make them go clear that minefield for the next 5 years. This is going to be like that.
He's killing Hydras and drones here. He's killed 6 more drones and a bunch of Hydras. This drop in the natural's insane.
It's actually doing a lot, man. That 5th base. Okay, I'm checking Dario's control groups because I think he's getting a bit haphazard right now. He has 2 main armies. One plus a different one, which is the same army, but it's got the Zergling Baneling. He doesn't have any drop defense. Oh, he's got 1 drop defense control group, but since that hasn't been fixed since the last patch, I can't actually see all his control groups because they're off the screen on this overlay, unfortunately.
This is a big push from uThermal. It's very, very scary. He's got a good number of tanks here, really pre-spreading that bio. Oof, those spikes.
Yeah, somebody's lagging. His computer's lagging. You know, I'm still hitting 100 FPS solid here, but fortunately, I hope the players don't feel this. This is a little rough.
Yeah, my FPS is not too bad either.
Hydra's holding the line right now. I mean, that tank line goes really far back. uThermal's like, dude, come forward, come to my tank line. But the Broodlords are making their way over. The flying mustaches assembling on the left-hand side, and just 4 flying mustaches floating their way over. They will be able to take care of this. I like these fights with TLO. He's been really careful so far. Just going with the Hydraling Bane. The Biostims forward. I think TLO, big blinding clouds. He just wants to jump on it.
Jump on it, you shall. The Broodlord's really ruling that sky here, and uThermal going, oh shit, Broodlords, he did not expect this. And the Viper's even yoinking some of those units, those medevacs, those tanks getting pulled into the meat grinder. uThermal's got a good bit of bio, though. And I mean, I was talking about the Broodlords are powerful when there's stuff underneath them. If uThermal actually kills all that stuff underneath them, the Broodlords actually are not good. So he doesn't want to overextend too heavily here, but TLO absolutely in a winning position at the moment.
Burrowed Zerglings on the 4th and 5th, the 5th and 6th locations. That's not going to be able to land. He's even going to drop creep with his Overlord so that they won't even notice there's a Burrowed Zergling until the Overlord's being cleared. Awesome moves by TLO. He's still pushing forward. He's added Banelings to reinforce. He's still got a great force of Roach Hydra on 2-3 upgrades, plus 2 melee done as well. So small upgrade advantage for the bio, but with the Broodlords overhead, massive tech advantage goes to Zerg. We've got 2 Vikings out in the field, 1 Thor about to be ready, but uThermal in trouble in this map.
He's going to tap. And that's a very uThermal thing to be like, oh, this game's over. He is opposite Bly.
So someone in chat was saying it's actually a lot more supply efficient to have a higher Viper count and work around Hydra Lurker, and the Greatest Buyer is a mistake. I actually totally disagree. I think we saw that Lurkers can be amazing, but especially when your opponent is lower than you on economy, it's hard to finish the game with the Lurkers. I think it's like the Broodlords are such a like, oh, your Marine tank army is just counted by this, right? The Lurkers can slow down that from pushing into it, but they can't really push it back, whereas Broodlords can just snap an army like that. I think the Broodlords, honestly, I think Lurkers off that composition, where you go Mutiling Bane into the Hydras, I think Lurkers is the wrong choice, just strategically, because you're literally going, ha, you don't have tanks, Hydras are good here because I went Mutas. And then you're going to force them to savagely swap into mass tank production. 2 or 3 factories. That's what we saw from Special. It's what we saw from uThermal. What do you want against tanks? Lurkers are not the worst thing against tanks, but they're pretty bad at pushing into them, right? It just turns it into a bit of a slow stalemate. I think the Broodlords, especially if you're ahead, are a much better way to play the momentum card. So don't get me wrong. I think Lurkers is not always wrong. I think you can make it work, but I much prefer Greatest Buyer personally. So I really like that choice from Dario.
It's just more convincing, you know? I feel like if you go for Lurkers, you give the opportunity for someone that is good with bio like uThermal to actually take a good fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas a Broodlord, like, it's so unlikely to take a good fight because it's just firing out free Broodlings every few seconds, and your bio's going to get pushed back and take damage in any case.
You know? It wasn't like 16 Broodlords, you know? This isn't like that situation. It's just a handful. Perfect choice, I think. I think it really worked. Anyways, Papa Mitch, thanks for the 17-month resub. Much love, guys. Hope you are showing Maynard some love. If we can exclamation mark multi in chat so you all can open it up and watch from the double observing. Leave audio on both streams as well, just to make sure you can actually achieve full oral pleasure.
Maximum oral pleasure. Where's my multi at? Hold up.
I mean, if you actually do that, I do want to warn you guys, though, if you do have sensitive ears, you may need to use an oral dam to make sure you don't contract awesomeness. It can get a little bit intense. Definitely remember that one.
Also make sure you're wearing a diaper, because those vibrations are going to be sending them way down under, because that's where we're from, so...
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, there is always something when I hear Maynard start to growl an intro. There's a few things that activate this. Really hype match, Cyril playing... grand finals, semi-finals of a tournament, any game with TY in the vicinity, doesn't even need to be in the game, he could just be watching the guy play, any of that will get a deep Maynard growl. And I tell you guys, when you're in a studio and you feel the literal ground shaking from that, it gets you hyped, it gets you excited. So glad to share a little bit of that with you guys here through the Maynard stream as well.
Exactly, whatever Pig just said.
Yeah.
Game number 5 on Triton, guys. Let's get her done. I'm excited. This is actually one of my favorite maps of the previous map pool, along with I think Ephemeron and Nightshade being the others. I enjoy quite a bit.
Someone in my chat said, "Show us what he said." Oh, did uThermal have some words? I didn't catch it.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he was just Rifkin asked for a 1-minute break. uThermal was like, "Yeah, sure," and he asked if casters were okay.
Okay, yeah, I don't think he was like, effing Zerg or anything. But
No, he's actually been a very pleasant, wonderful
yeah,
Terran player. There's no salt, no madness.
playing.
Unless they mean at the end of the game, like, did he tap out and say something and we
I
didn't
don't.
see it because the
I
victory
didn't.
screen
Yeah,
came up
maybe
or
I
something?
didn't see it because the victory screen.
No,
I don't
he just
know.
said GG.
I thought he just said GG as well.
Yeah.
All right, down here.
People looking for drama where there is none.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, if you found gold there before, you start looking again, and
You start sifting in the same pond,
yeah,
Might be another gold nugget.
uThermal he's given up some wealth in the past. Down here in the bottom right, representing Team Liquid, it's uThermal.
He does have the nickname Mad Mark for a reason. And up left here, the Wunderwunsch, the Doctor. It is Team Liquid's TLO. Pretty sick, like I gotta say, pretty sick to see TLO do not only this well in a tournament, but make it to the last map of a grand final, and specifically against the teammate.
Beating Special as well to get here.
Yeah,
Like this is
massive.
insane.
No, if he wins this final, no one can sit there going, "Oh, it's bracket luck." Absolutely not. He's had some tough opponents today.
Yeah, he's been playing insanely well. So, GG, well played so far for both of these guys. It's Triton for Game 5, and I can get behind the 8 barracks on this map because I think it's easier to split your opponent's bases up, and it's not nearly as far to get across. It just doesn't feel nearly as bad. World of Sleep is a much better one, so we'll see exactly how it goes. A lot of people excited in chat for Maynard. They are catching up, and they're saying bassy, throbbing, and a lot of excitement. Someone actually just opened the multi-twitch, left both audio on, and said, oh, it's also echoing. A big surprise there, guys. Remember, everything we suggest you guys do with your viewing experience is 100% serious, and you should absolutely leave the audio on 2 streams that are literally blasting the exact same audio at the same time.
Yep.
It will double the experience. It's great.
And definitely don't drive too far down the road because you will go off the side of the planet because the Earth is flat. Make sure to vaccinate all your kids.
Yeah, because autism makes them better at StarCraft, sure.
Exactly. I'm not going to go deeper on that joke. Just going to let it hang. The Reaper here of uThermal getting a little bit more of that Ling damage done. He's really good at making sure that Dario pays that Reaper tax.
Yeah, the Reaper, I mean, it's consistently been doing very well here. 3 Zerglings do go down. Drone. Hey, it's a depot block. Mark says, you know what? Some people are wasteful. They build an eBay. Not me. I want that 25 minerals. I need it.
He's like, Dario, of all people, being a German and also an I Am So Smart player, he appreciates efficiency.
Well, remember, he is just, of course, the quantum, mechanics in the eigenvalue. So,
Yeah.
of course, Third base does go down on the bottom left-hand side here as well.
Yeah, third base to Dario is not going to be delayed too much here. He's just going to take it down here at the triangle location instead of up north.
I don't like this base as much as a third, but you know what? Getting your creep out in front of it can be very nice. Oh, don't tell me this Reaper gets a drone.
Yeah.
Oh, this Reaper is just being annoying. This is an NA Reaper, man. I'm telling you, uThermal might be Dutch, but he is the most NA of Terrans up against the most EU of EU NA Zerg players right here. These guys are both true NA players in the finals of the Americas Cup.
Oh, okay. Speedling's going to finish off that Reaper at least, but
Finally.
that was so annoying.
Yeah, that guy was definitely being a bit of a dick to deal with. So, looks like we're going to see the 6 Hellion Lib opening. This one works out real nice where you sync up those 6 Hellions diving with the Lib diving in. And let's go to Dario's cam. Does he see the Lib pop? He does not.
Nope. Well, I mean, you don't need to go Dario's scan to see that. It's the Overlord dies before.
I thought it was going to time out.
Meanwhile, Pig's paid 100,000 more StarCraft games than I have.
Yep. I still don't know the hit point or damage values of most of the units in the game as well.
Yeah, I remember one time Fear Dragon was like, I'm going to make some B-roll. I want people to do interviews and tell me damage numbers. I'm going to quiz them. And I couldn't answer a fucking thing, dude.
Yeah. He's like, why don't you know? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I was busy winning the ladder games, not massing DTs.
That's right.
I'm like, I wasn't studying 99% useless facts, Fear Dragon.
Yeah, he's like, how much damage does a Tempest do? And I'm like, what the fuck's a Tempest?
Nobody knows how much. Honestly, if anyone in chat right now can name the damage plus the verse massive damage in chat of what a Tempest does unupgraded, type it in chat right now. Don't look it up.
No,
and if you get
that to chat, you can't say that because they are going to look it up.
I know, but that's the point. I'll just claim that once they quote unquote win Maynard. I want to get them a bit excited first, and then crush their dreams. And the one guy who actually knows it is just like, gets 0 credit.
That's right. The one guy that actually knows it, whoever that is, you're not going to be acknowledged, and you typing out those numbers was meaningless.
Yeah.
So think about your life.
Yeah, it's like I often do a little competition on the stream where people guess how many workers died in a game at the end. We don't show it until after everyone guesses, and the prize is always literally nothing except the respect of a bunch of meaningless people in Twitch chat.
Yeah. Who will forget within seconds.
Within seconds, yeah. But you get that like 0.1 of a second of Twitch chat fame, so it's worth something, right?
I guess. I mean, some people like there's 15 minutes of fame, and on Twitch chat, it's like 15 seconds of fame. The world moves so much faster now.
Indeed. Speaking of fast moving, the tech of TLO is out of this world. He has defended textbook in the early game here. He took no damage to the lib. He took no damage to the Hellions. It's repaired and come back across the map. By the time it gets there, mutas are going to be out. Like, this is actually so smooth. This is the way TLO wants his build to go every game. Mutas out by 7 minutes. Bane speed done. 1-1. Not too far behind the Terran. Yeah, he's got a later 4th base. Yeah, he's building a lot of Zerglings right now that should be mutas because he's worried about an all-in. Is this what's he saying? Why is he scared right now? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm so confused as well. I've been watching this.
Yeah. Oh, he never saw the 3rd CC.
Ah.
I think he's maybe a little... He doesn't realize that's there. Oh, man, he's missing his window to build mutas.
Yeah, that's not going to help him because there is actually a small attack coming across the map here. Lynx going for the counterattack towards the natural. The front door is open with 3 Marines sort of standing there, but the Lynx could trickle on in. No, the Marines blocking the door.
Yep, nicely done, man. Good hold there by uThermal. It was only like 10, 12 Lings. It's not a big deal, but well done. The Liberator did go down. Still not a bad situation for TLO. Just imagine if there was 6 mutas flying around uThermal's base right now. Like, how insanely ahead would TLO be? So I think there is a missed opportunity here. And the thing is, you might go, well, he's just made more Ling Bane. He can still use those units. That's not what this style hinges upon. This style is a super late 4th, no macro hatch. It's a high gas, low mineral style. He does not have enough Ling Bane to go toe-to-toe with uThermal at almost any stage in any of these games. It's all about backstabbing and using mutas to take advantage with the movement and the mobility. So right now, I mean, he's got to get a good cleanup on this push or he's going to drown in the parade that follows.
This flank does not look super convincing. TLO losing a lot of the Banelings on the left side. The right side crashing on in. The fire ready for it, though. Oh, uThermal took big connections to the Marines, but he still has a few remaining. The tanks are going to get cleaned up thanks to the Lings, and Dario, even with those small amounts of Zerg units, with that flank, actually managed to get the connections that he wanted there.
That looked very dicey, and it still is. No, don't do a rogue! Oh, you got to go home and make Banelings. Rogue likes to do that after he holds a push, not make Banelings and try to just scare the opponent back. But uThermal is one of the least scared players out there. Yeah, he was raised, his mum read him books about Baneling busts and one-base Ravager all day as a child. He is immune. He is not afraid. He is the man who stims towards the Zerg almost always. When any other Terran would run away, uThermal will run forwards. So I think TLO, he's got to keep more Banelings on their defense. It almost cost him against Special earlier as well. Remember, he'd go across the map with his whole army. He'd have 2 Banelings at home, and the Marines would run in and do big damage. So he's really got to respect those counter pushes from uThermal.
Oh, catches the muta there as the mutaflock heads towards the main base of the Terran. He's got 1 turret up in the mineral line and also near the production.
Ooh.
And once again, uThermal, not any add-ons on those extra barracks. He is going to do that 8 racks, Marines down your throat, TVZ style.
And what else do we ever see at the moment, right? All the Terrans are convinced this is the most solid way to play the matchup to kind of stop the Zerg getting out of control. They want to win before Ultras or die trying. Of course, here in this series against TLO, it's, win before, oh, wait, you swapped into Hydras? What's happening? Ah! And then the game turns into a crazy mess. These mutas find a tank. Whoa! Uh-oh. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, you're kidding me!
Oh.
4 hit point tank.
Yeah. Survive. Gonna go for repair as well.
Mutalisk. Oh, look at this scouting muta on the left. Oh, it's a one-man muta, but it's being repaired! Oh, no! Oh, no! And now oh, he sends another muta to join it. TLO getting just way too creative for his own good. Oh, no!
Oh, yeah, he's just folded, man.
Oh, my God!
It's not good at all.
That tank was the ultimate bait. It was the ultimate bait.
I mean, if that thing had a Widowmine under it, it would have been even more of a bait. But this is like even incredible moves there. TLO not able to get the creativity to pay off for him that time, and now uThermal is 30 army supply up, and he is encroaching on the position here of TLO defensively. But TLO is once again going to have a bit of a flank setup. He's got Ling Bane on the right side, Hydra Ling Bane on the left side. If he gets time to make these extra 12 Banelings, maybe he gets that clean up.
I think he's okay with Hydras. Hydras are so good against this sort of push. Oh, the Lings on the left will not be able to flank properly. Oh, and look at this spread from uThermal. Oh my god, the fight going in from all sides. That tank is such a dick. It's such a good tank there. Those Hydras need to get rid of it. They don't have range. They've got such short range. Oh, this is so awkward. But the tank count, there's only one tank left. There's still a good Baneling count. He's deep on creep.
Oh, uThermal gets rid of all the Banelings, and now he's going on top of those Hydras. He's on top of the fourth base.
Oh my god.
So here, uThermal stimmed for the win. The tanks on the backside, not enough to clean them up. It's going to be all uThermal here.
No.
And he's getting marked schlappied for game 5.
Schlip, schlap, schlop. That is the most uThermal way to finish a game. I keep talking about it, and I keep expecting him to play a drastically different style and make me look like an idiot. But this is how uThermal wins this matchup. You're like, oh, if you had another like 7 Banes there, you kill every Marine. But uThermal stands his ground on creep. Like I said, he stims towards the Banelings, guns them all down, and until he's like, oh, crap. Oh, crap, where's the rest of my Banelings? I've got 50 Zerglings in production. TLO needed to buy time, and he needed to just hold on a little bit longer before taking that big fight. A beautiful spread, though, for uThermal. You could tell uThermal there said, you know what? I know you're going to flank and surround this. What you don't realize is this spread goes back for like 3 screens. You can't surround 3 screens at once, mate.
Yeah. Sick game 5, though. Really back and forth. Some cool backstabs. A couple of mistakes from Dario. A couple of mistakes from uThermal. But I think that was probably the best, or one of the best finals we've had in the ESL Pro Tour. I know that comeback from Neeb against Hero Marine that we're actually talking about in my chat a little bit.
Oh my god.
That might be the most hype, potentially, final. But this one was... Considering we had TLO in there, it was a very, very neck-and-neck final. It was very, very explosive
ZVT,
games.
crazy, swapping into Hydras off Mutas. Like,
yeah.
Dude, this is such a sick finals we've just watched. And uThermal, I've just rewatched it like 3 times in a row, that fight. Because it's just such a sick spread. And it was one of those engagements where like it was like, you don't actually see this as the Zerg, but the right call was actually just like, go forward with the Hydra Bane. He pulls back his bio to lure you into the tanks. You pull back. You go in, you pull back. You just needed to buy time, and such a scary, scary force there. And the thing is, this is also one of the, I think, weaknesses of Dario, where he goes so heavy on the Hydras off that style, and you need more Ling Bane, I think, against such a heavy Marine army, right? If those Banelings run out, your opponent can roll you over, and such a back-and-forth series, so close. Hats off to both of these guys for making the grand finals. I think it's 5 points for TLO, 10 for uThermal, $100 for uThermal as well. Winner takes all. GG, well played to our EPT Americas Cup champion.
Hell yeah. Cool to see uThermal doing well again. He's been winning a few of those online cups for Katowice. Obviously, just one series away getting to the round of 24, I should say. It's a heartbreaker to get trapped in that final best of 3 for a qualification match in that offline qualifier. But,
that's rough, man.
But yeah, no, it's cool to see him back into form, practicing. Clearly still extremely high level. Clearly still a massive threat to anyone there in a tournament bracket. So thank you very much for joining me.